It is. Yeah, there's nothing better than throwing on that hairnet, throwing on those gloves, and just hopping on the serving line to forget about everything else, that you have going on. Those kids are coming fast and furious, so you really can't think about anything else other than putting that food on their tray in the best way that you can. And, it's a different kind of therapy, if you will, too.
Caitlin, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's Tuesday in November, an election day. Get out there and vote. I don't have my sticker because I do mail-in ballot. But
Yes.
I don't know anyone that actually goes to the polls anymore and votes. I didn't, I don't know. I know there's a lot of people that do
There's
it,
a
but I've only done mail-in ballot for the past, I don't know, 10 years.
Yeah, it is nice not to have to stand in line, but there's also something kind of fun about doing it every 4 years too. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I
the
can
main
understand that.
convenient.
I can do that. It's probably also interesting because you came from Delaware and you are now a California local. Talk to me a little bit about what the transition's been like so far from Delaware to California. And then we'll obviously introduce you here and let people get to know who you are and what you're all about and welcome you to the team and everything. But yeah, what's
Yeah.
that transition been like so far?
It's been a whirlwind. My husband and I moved out here in August, so we're coming up on 3 months being in California. We're officially residents and have done all those fun things that go along with changing our residency. But yeah, I mean, we certainly can't complain about the weather. We absolutely love the sunny, bright days almost every day and just have enjoyed getting to check out our neighborhood, check out Orange County a little bit, and, see all the fun and exciting things that California has to offer. But it definitely is different. I've lived in, a couple different states back east, and it's very different from all of them, but also very amazing at the same time. So
So
it's been good.
have you gotten any snow reports from any friends or family from back east, or has it not started snowing yet?
No snow yet, but it is funny. They
Okay.
haven't gotten rain much at all since the beginning of September. So they're in this drought, which is so unheard of back east. So I'm like, oh, maybe they're
Mm.
not so different at all. It rained for a few minutes one night here, and we were so excited because I know it doesn't rain a whole lot in California, but no snow yet, but I'm sure it'll come here in the next few weeks or months.
I mean, we got a lot of rain here last year. I mean, it was like this whole drought for this multi-year drought that California was going through. And then last year we got more rain than we knew what to do with. We literally didn't have rain traps, whether it be like reservoirs or lakes or whatever that could hold the amount of rain that we received. And so people were complaining about the fact that we were just letting all of this perfectly good water run right back into the ocean and we don't have a good system put in place for California to catch all the rain that we had. But it just, like you said, it just doesn't rain that often. But when it does rain, it tends to rain really hard. But I came from Arizona and we didn't get rain pretty much all year at all. And then we would have this season in Arizona that they call monsoon season. And monsoon season is typically August through like October. It's hit or miss. It doesn't rain every day, but when it does rain, it rains a lot. And in the desert, the ground is not very, it's not absorbent. And so the water just sits on top of it. And so you've got these really hard like surfaces, like these like almost like rock beds. And so it runs straight over the surface of it and it doesn't soak into the ground. And it runs into these basically like dry rivers 90% of the year that they call washes. And so all of this mass amount of water will run into this dry river
Interesting.
and then it hits that river and it turns into an actual river at that point during monsoon season. And
You will.
it'll run across roads and take cars away and all sorts of crazy stuff. It's very interesting. We all are in the US, but state to state has got some weird weather
Oh, yeah.
stuff that's only unique to that state.
Oh, yeah. Very true. It's pretty
Um,
unique.
It is. It is. Obviously, I wanted to have you on the show today. So thank you for being on here and chatting with me for a few minutes. And one of the main reasons I want to have you on here is because you're brand new to our team at School Food Handler. So I wanted to introduce you to everyone on social media and give you the opportunity to share a little bit about your background and a little bit about where you come from. Obviously, we know that you have just moved here from the East Coast. You recently got married. So congratulations
Oh,
again
yeah, that
on
too.
the recent wedding and
Thank
all
you.
the name change challenges. that go along with that. But I know it's
Yeah.
exciting for you guys, so that is really cool.
Yes. Yeah. That is not something I wish on anybody to have to move to a different state and change your name at the same time. So you're very happy to be part of the team.
Yeah, absolutely. So talk to me a little bit about your background in school nutrition. What got you into this industry? It's always interesting hearing people's backstories because child nutrition is one of those industries that most people, when you ask like a 5 or a 6 year old what they want to be when they get older, most people don't say they want to go into child nutrition. However, it's a
Right.
massive industry. And so many people that I know just found themselves in this industry by either luck or chance or fortune, whatever it is. But everyone has their own journey to child nutrition. But it seems once you get in the industry, most people tend to stay in the industry. It's just such an amazing, wonderful place. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about how you
True.
got into the industry and what brought you here.
Yeah, so I have an undergraduate degree from University of Delaware, and I kind of went into college thinking I wanted to be a nurse. I always kind of loved caring for people and had much more of a science like mind than a mathematic mind, so to speak. But I got into college, freshman year doing all the prerequisites and took a nutrition course and just kind of fell in love immediately with the science behind it. And, we eat foods every day. So just kind of learning more about how foods affect our body and, the good and the bad and the ugly around it. And then, so that kind of got me on the nutrition path and wanted to be credentialed. So I went down the dietetics road. I did my internship through University of Delaware as well. And it was really during my food service rotation. It was my third rotation out of my entire internship. So I had seen the community aspect, I had seen the clinical aspect, and I got to food service, and I was kind of nervous because I didn't really know what to expect. I went to a private high school, so I didn't have the traditional public school food service experience in the cafeterias, but I was in Delaware doing it, and the one high school manager really, you could just tell how passionate she was about feeding the students. High school was a tough grade level. They're not always the friendliest kids, but she, came to work every day and just really inspired me to fall in love. And that's what I fell in love with school nutrition just during that internship. And, every day was something new and different and exciting. One day you're, planning a menu. The next day you're trying to do some pest management or deal with a vendor, or, your food's not coming in and you have to figure out what you're going to do. So that sort of excitement every day, so to speak, just really spoke to me. So, and I had a professor in college too who said, everyone always kinda hates on school food service, school nutrition, but once you get there, you will see that you absolutely fall in love with it, people fall in love with it, and you won't ever leave, and you're exactly right, it's so true, and 8 years later, I graduated from my internship, I passed my RD exam shortly after that, and I landed my first job as a part-time menu planner, and kinda the rest is history. So I was fortunate enough to be able to kind of see every aspect of school nutrition. I started as a menu planner, planned menus for all grade levels, did some nutrition education, worked with students with food allergies, was part of their wellness team. And then I moved up into an operations specialist and saw that side of school nutrition. So I think that was a good stepping stone for me and helped me learn a lot about the program.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting. Nutrition is so misunderstood, isn't it? I feel like so many
Yes.
people have this like preconceived notion about what child nutrition is. But the
Mhm.
reality is, most people, especially parents that have, and no knock on parents, I'm a parent and I've got kids that go to our local public school here in town. And I have conversations with other parents. And I find myself in this almost feeling this need to educate people on the obstacles and challenges that child nutrition professionals have to go through in order to get that meal on the plate for their kid to enjoy at lunchtime. And all you hear
Yep.
from parents is just critique of the child nutrition
Yeah.
program. Serve this. And they have no concept of the financial restraints. They have no concept of the regulations, the regulatory restraints that these people have to go through and that child nutrition
Mhm.
professionals have to deal with on a daily basis. It's just so
Mhm.
interesting to me having those conversations and hearing how misunderstood the industry is. But have you experienced that just in your years in the industry as well?
Absolutely, absolutely, and, the regulations are one thing, the financial constraints are absolutely a high number too. I had a supervisor, my first supervisor said, child nutrition, USDA child nutrition programs are the second most regulated federal program, with the first being NASA. So, people are going to space and they're the only program more regulated than child nutrition. So I think that just lends well to that fact. And, child nutrition professionals are trying to serve the highest quality foods with, the staff that they are able to secure and keep and feed the students a healthy meal within those regulations. So it's not an easy task, and certainly it takes a strong people to do that on a daily basis, which is why you know coming to a school food handler, being able to provide resources to those school districts to make their lives that much easier or even just a little bit easier, I'm grateful to be able to do.
It's interesting that you mentioned NASA, and because it seems like there's a lot of correlations between child nutrition and NASA and or like space. And I always refer to child nutrition professionals as like school nutrition superheroes, because they really do an out of this world job. But if you
Yep.
even niche it down a little bit further and you look at like HACCP, which we're all familiar with, like hazard analysis of critical control points, even HACCP was developed by NASA to keep food safe and the flow of food for
Yep.
astronauts going to
Yep.
space. And it's
Yep.
just so interesting how there's so many different things that keep getting referenced to NASA and child nutrition professionals. So if you're out there and you're a child nutrition professional, you might also have a potential career at NASA. But that is really cool. It's also interesting looking at like child nutrition and looking at different professionals in the industry. And it can be really one of those, especially in the past couple of years. We've gone through this period of time where it's been really stressful. And I feel like a lot of people look at child nutrition, especially over the last years with staffing issues that have been a constant battle. And obviously with the pandemic issues that child nutrition was on the front lines and serving food through, but it can be very stressful, right? It at times, but at the same time, I feel like I've never been in an industry that talks about the how rewarding it is at in the same breath. But you usually don't
Yep.
have this stressful industry where people also speak so highly of the industry and how rewarding of a job and a position that they have. But that really is true with child nutrition. And yeah, I'm wondering though, coming from a school district and being in the industry for many years, what are some kind of de-stressing things that you do or that you've done over the years to get yourself through those tough, challenging times
Yeah.
that inevitably come up?
Yeah, it's a good point, and there were days where you barely stand up or you barely are able to use the restroom because you're just pulled from one thing to the next. So we would always in when I was working in the school district, we would always say, "Okay, we gotta get out in the schools. We gotta go out and see the kids. We gotta go to a cafeteria. We gotta just interact with the students and the staff to kind of reset our minds, to kind of de-stress from all the red tape, all the paperwork, all the, things that we're dealing with in the office. Let's just get out and go to the schools." So we would go during lunchtime or during prep time and just chat with people, chat with the staff, chat with the students, say, "Hey, what do you like about the lunch today?" Or just for me too, seeing the interactions between the students and the staff members really just brought me back to why I do what I do, like seeing maybe a staff member who is a little rough around the edges or someone who's a grandmother and those kids are her grandchildren. Just seeing those interactions really just reminds me of why I wanted to get into this field and why I'm so passionate about feeding students. But I'm also passionate about the staff and trying and making sure that, they feel empowered on a daily basis. They understand that what they do is important and so that they can do the best job that they can. So we would always, man, try and go for walks as you can with the day, but really making it a point to a few times a week get out into those schools and just be reminded of why you do what you do.
Yeah, just yeah, exactly. Get out there and give those kids a smile and a kind word and really ground
Yep,
yourself. And this is why we do what we do. I feel like so
exactly.
many times we get wrapped up in the day to day how to do a specific task, but we don't always remind either ourselves or our staff of really the reason why we're doing all of this. Yeah, this is a
Right.
tough day, but this is why it's important for us to do this and and get through these tough days. And it really is the motivation that kind of keeps you going.
It is, yeah, there's nothing better than throwing on that hairnet, throwing on those gloves, and just hopping on the serving line to forget about everything else, that you have going on. Those kids are coming fast and furious, so you really can't think about anything else other than putting that food on their tray in the best way that you can, and, it's a different kind of therapy, if you will, too.
I'm sure you've had lots of school lunches and school breakfast over the
Oh,
years.
yes.
Do you have a favorite meal that you just, if it's on the menu, you're like, how can I get in a kitchen today?
Well, at the last district I worked at, our offices were right next to one of the middle schools. So it was very easy for me to go across and see the ladies and get a lunch myself. But, you know, the best smelling meal, I would say, is our was the breakfast for lunch. The cinnamon French toast that we had just, filled the kitchen, and they would have the windows open, and when you're in the parking lot, you could smell the French toast and the sausage being cooked.
Mhm.
So that was always a top favorite. The General Tso's, they had a good General Tso's with fried rice, and that's probably one that I would always try to get my hands on if I could. So there's a lot of good options, though. It's tough to pick nowadays.
I feel like the options have gotten so much more diverse also over the years. I think back of
Yeah.
like, probably like 10 years ago or so when I really started paying attention to what was being served. And I feel like it was the same kind of go-to items that you just cycle through. And obviously, you still have that as well. But I look at like my kids' menu,
Right.
for instance, like I was looking at it this morning. I had to print off the November breakfast and lunch items for both my kids because they're in different grades. So I have to print out 4 menus for breakfast and lunch for my youngest and breakfast and lunch for the oldest. And so I'm shifting through these papers and I'm looking at the diversity of options. And I'm like, if you can't find something that you like off of this menu, you're not looking because there are so many good items on here.
Oh,
I
yeah.
want to go and eat this. But yeah, the one talking about good smelling stuff, there was this district in Arizona. I've talked about this before, but there was this district in Arizona, it was Yuma, number one. And maybe they still do this. I haven't been out there in several years. It's been probably 5 or 6 years since I've been out in the district. But they used to do their own fresh baked rolls and
Ooh.
their fresh baked cinnamon buns. And oh, they didn't do them every day, but when I was out there either working in the schools or out there with my dad, because my dad has a company that works in schools as well. And so if I was working with him and we happened to be in Yuma, I would always try and I'd find a way. We'd usually be there. It's a pretty big district. So we'd be there for 2 or 3 days. And I'm like, please be baking cinnamon buns when we're there. And they were always so sweet. They'd give us a couple of them to take home. And it was
Yeah.
great. But yeah, that was the smell that I wanted.
And
But
and it doesn't take a lot, but it's the best marketing technique. You open up those kitchen doors and you let those smells waft out into the school, and those kids come running in for whatever it is. So it's a fast and easy marketing technique.
yeah. I'm curious, obviously coming from a district on the East Coast and knowing that there are a lot of similarities between both school districts and just states in general from East Coast to West Coast. But there's also a lot of differences. There's a lot of different cultural differences. There's a lot of different just ways that we approach different tasks. And I'm just wondering, are there any ways that schools on the East Coast are really either utilizing different tools, whether it be technology gadgets or different processes and procedures that are different than what you've seen out here on the West Coast? Or are there any just cool things that you've, seen maybe at a food show or online or anything over the course of the past several months that you just really think are interesting right now?
Yeah, so I think first and foremost, California has universal meals for all students, and that is a huge benefit to all students, all families. And they haven't quite gotten there yet in Delaware. So hopefully that will be coming soon for the students in that state as well. But I really think that that's a huge it's a very much needed, and just takes away that stigma of having to pay for meals or fill out those meal benefit applications. It also is super beneficial for the district staff as well. So it takes a lot of that red tape paperwork away and just allows them to focus on, the purpose of why they're there, to feed the students a little bit more. So I definitely would love to see universal meals across the country. So, keep hoping and praying for that. But that's a lot of big difference. But, there's a lot of great things that Delaware, despite being small, that they do. So I was the president of the Delaware School Nutrition Association for a year, and really got to see a lot of the great things that all the districts, for being such a small state, there's 19 districts. So I got to see all the great things that the districts down south in Delaware did, which was really only like an hour and a half away. Um,
Mhm.
but even within the state, there's a lot of differences between the northern part, which is much more city, much more populated, to the southern part, which is much more rural. Um, so yeah, they had those different preferences in their students as well. But it was still kind of COVID when I was the president, so we weren't doing in-person meetings, but I really wanted to bring the members together, increase engagement. So I started a sort of a digital publication, if you will, called the DSNA
Oh, cool.
Digest. And it was really a way for the districts to kind of represent themselves, to share ideas amongst everybody else, provide some, news, association news, and professional development articles. But I would have districts send pictures from Farm to School Month or Superhero Day and just highlight the different things that they were doing within the association themselves. So I think that was a really good way to try to bring everybody together when we were able to meet in person. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great things that Delaware does despite just being a small state. So,
So where'd you I mean, I think that's a great idea for, the publication that you put together during those challenging months where we weren't able to all get together in person. Where'd you come up with the idea to put together, like, a publication like that to reach the members and serve them in a different way?
yeah, I think must have seen something on the SNA website or, they have
Hmm.
their monthly newsletter. So I was like, oh, that'd be, something fun and, bring also the board members together in a more impactful way, give them a purpose. The area reps I would task to, collect the information, collect the submissions. And then we had people who would put the publication together and review it. So it was just a good way to kind of give everyone a purpose during COVID when we were not together in person and, something relatively easy and, virtually cost effective to do at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. You're obviously new here with us at School Food Handler, but I'm curious to know if you have any particular items that you're really excited about working on or looking forward to over the course of the next several months.
Yeah. So in general, I'm just still thrilled to be in the school nutrition field.
Mhm.
Moving out here, I had to leave my job in Delaware for we came out here for my husband's work. So I'm really excited to still be able to be in the school nutrition field, which I obviously am very passionate about. And in general, being able to help the school nutrition department and, make their lives easier as well as empower the school nutritional professionals in the kitchen. So I'm looking forward to creating relevant trainings. So, updating the ones that we currently have available on the website to be more engaging, as well as, fill those gaps that districts may find that we need training on. So, being able to create those resources for the districts and kind of have a blank slate on different trainings would be great.
So, what do you think, just out of curiosity, what do you think the future of training for school nutrition professionals looks like? If obviously none of us foresaw what happened in 2020 and how that would shift the way that we approach training and in person meetings and things of that nature. I mean, if you had a crystal ball and you could fast forward 10, 15 years, what do you think training looks like in the next 10 to 15 years?
It's probably going to be all virtual reality. They have the headset and they watch the videos or something. Technology's taking over the world. But no, I don't know, I think COVID taught us a lot about, being more flexible and having to do things and allowing us to do more things online. But I think, making the training as engaging and relevant and accessible as we can to staff members, I think that will continue to grow and become just a lot easier for districts.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that if COVID showed us one thing, it is when it comes to training, it is that we all still are hungry for that in-person connection. Every person that I've talked to, every district that I've talked to has no intention ever of stopping doing in-person training. And I think that's great because I think we all
Yep.
need that personal connection. We all need to understand that we're part of something like you mentioned, putting the hairnet on, getting in the kitchens and be reminded of the why behind the how or what it is that the task that we're doing. I think that we all need to be reminded that we're part of something bigger than just a computer screen with some words on it. However, what I
Exactly.
think COVID also showed us is that we need to be prepared for everything. And we don't know if there's going to be another situation where we have a work from home. We just don't. We don't anticipate it. I would hope we don't have anything hot on the
Yeah.
heels of COVID that keeps us at home. But at the same time, I think that what COVID showed us is that we need to have a plan and we need to have something in place that allows for us to continue doing the things in person that we want to do that we all know is valuable and important, but that gives us the opportunity to do something in a virtual format should we need to, or to fill the gaps and save us some time. And technology is great for that. Technology is great in a
Yep.
lot of ways
Yep.
for creating innovative solutions for time savings and providing peace of mind that things are being done without having to send a person out to a site to verify it in person. So there's lots of great benefits to it. And I think that's one of the big things that I saw that COVID really gave to us is that we just need to be prepared. We need to have tools in place
Yep.
that allow us to do all the things that we both think we need to do or potentially might need to do, as well as the things that we want to do.
Exactly. Yep. Absolutely.
So I got to ask you, we got the holidays quickly approaching, talking about hot on the heels of something. We're hot on the heels of Thanksgiving right now. And so I'm wondering, obviously, I'm going to fast forward past Thanksgiving and Christmas and all of that and go straight to New Year's. I know it's a month and a half away, but I want to
It'll
know,
be
do you
here
have any
before
big
we know
goals
it.
for 2025? I know it's going to be here before we know it. And everyone every year typically puts together what I personally don't really like the whole resolution thing. I think it's, I just don't like the way I don't like the kind of negative connotation of creating a resolution and then dropping it. Because I mean, that's
Yeah.
typically what people do. I mean, they create something that they're wanting to do, and then by the end of February, it's, oh wait, I had something I wanted to do. So I typically to look at November, December. It's like my reflection month, my end of year reflection on the previous year. And I really take an opportunity to analyze what happened and what types of things could maybe we improve on in the upcoming year. And then put together a little bit of a game plan going into the upcoming year and a strategy for how are we going to approach the next year, not just the next month and hitting the gym harder than I did the previous 12 months.
Right.
But I'm curious, do you have any goals or resolutions that you're already planning out for 2025?
Yeah, 2024 was one for the record books. We'll see what 2025 has in store for us. But personally, yeah, I think my husband and I just want to take advantage of being on a new coast. So traveling and
Yeah.
checking out as many different places as we can in 2025, whether that be national parks or, just little small towns that nobody really knows about, or, maybe getting out to Hawaii and experiencing another state as well. So where that's kind of on our goal list for 2025 is just to travel and experience things out west.
Yeah, you got to get out there and get those aloha vibes. If you can get
Me
out
too.
there to Hawaii, get on a beach, it's nice weather pretty much year round. I
Yep.
very much encourage you to do that. That's sounds like a great trip.
Yep.
What you mentioned doing some the national parks and stuff. It sounds like you might be into hiking and just being in nature. But what other types of kind of hobbies and stuff do you do in your free time? What are some things that you and your husband enjoy doing?
Yeah, we love going on hikes. We love, going to the beach and just relaxing. The beach is definitely our happy place. So what better place to
Mhm.
move than California, especially southern.
Yeah.
So we've enjoyed doing that. I love baking and cooking, just kind of general dietitian things in
Mhm.
that aspect. We also, like to take care of some houseplants. We don't have any pets or any children yet, so our houseplants are kind of filling that right now. So yeah, it just, getting out there, getting outside, it's kind of a good tactic to de-stress as well. So we like to be outside as much as we can.
You got like the perfect home situation for traveling. No pets,
Me
no
too.
kids. You don't have to worry about getting a babysitter or finding someone to watch FIFO. It's super easy. You just pack a bag and hit it for the weekend. That's really cool. Cool. We've taken up enough of your time today. I do appreciate you jumping on here with me and just having fun for a couple of minutes and just chatting.
Yeah.
But I like to end with kind of my traditional question that I ask pretty much everyone when we do an episode together, because I really to see where people's mind is from both just a life kind of perspective, the things that drive you, that motivates you. And I created this question a while back, which is ultimately if you had your own billboard and you had it on the side of a major freeway and it was there for everyone in the world to see, what would your message to the world be?
Wow. That's a great question. Yeah. I love food puns, and I also like to
Ooh.
just put little smiles on people's faces, right? So I think, something along the lines of, "You're kind of a big deal." I actually have this little emotional support pickle that says, "I'll always be around to let you know that you are a big deal." So something like that, maybe, maybe people are into that too, and it would put a little smile on their face. I don't know, but just something to make people feel good and some kind of related food pun.
I love it. The food puns. I feel like food puns are something that really need to be more common.
They're underrated. They're really
They really are.
underutilized. Yeah, I totally agree.
I think that we need to create some food puns and start posting those on social media because
I
I
I think
agree
we
with
should.
you. I love it. Well,
I've
you know
got a
what,
list. I'll
Caitlin,
send it to you.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait. Caitlin, you are a pretty big deal, and I appreciate you spending some time and chatting with me today. And we are so happy to have you on the team. And I look forward
Thank
to
you.
having you chatting with all of our awesome school food handler customers over the next couple of months. And for everyone
Yes,
out there watching, this is Caitlin, and we look forward to introducing her to you very soon. Thanks again, Caitlin. I appreciate it.
absolutely. Thank you.